Hey guys, and welcome to Ozzie Reviews. Well, today I'm going to continue on with my beginner series on choosing the correct centerfire rifle for you. Now, much the same as I did when choosing the correct rimfire rifle for you video, I'm not going to, be just exclusively with the brands that I've actually got myself. I'm going to talk about just different brands and just different setups of the rifle so that you can make an informed decision. So I'm going to run through the brands naturally. I'm then going to address the caliber and then also choosing the correct scope for your purpose. So let's go into a little bit of background first of all, guys. A centerfire rifle is going to be a little bit more, I guess, unique over a rimfire rifle in the sense of depending on what brand and what caliber you're choosing will definitely open up different doors for you in the sense of hunting or long range precision, that sort of thing. It really depends on what your purpose is going to be. So for example, let's start off with the different brands. Now if you're on a budget, okay, really there's so many different budget rifles getting around these days and the quality of them are pretty good, for what the price is. Now what's the reason for that? I guess technology, machining techniques, things just seem to be a lot better these days than what we had it 20, 30 years ago in the shooting world. I mean, 20, 30 years ago in the shooting world, if you got sort of a 2-inch group at 100 there with a hunting rifle using factory ammunition, you were pretty happy. Nowadays, if it doesn't shoot sub MOA, people are like, oh, what's wrong with this, So we've got a lot more technology now and there's a lot more wider range and wider choice of different firearms that you can get. So on the budget line, the Ruger American would have to be one of my go-to firearms. I was a little bit hesitant in making comment on one until I actually reviewed one, and that was recently when we looked at the 223 in the Ruger American. Honestly, I could not believe the accuracy out of that budget rifle using those OSA 55 grain Game Kings in the 223 round. Cheap round, brilliant results. I mean, like 0.1 of an inch at 100 yards. I mean, that was just ridiculous. So, on a budget, you can get into a rifle that shoots with the best of the best. However, if you go into a budget rifle like the Ruger American, just don't expect it to have the nice finer finishes of like, for example, a Lithgow or a Tikka, Anschutz, Seiko, that sort of thing. You're just not going to get that, guys. Also too, Savage is worth mentioning. Savage offers some really budget rifles. However, I have had a couple of teething problems with a few of them, okay, only because they are more of a budget rifle, but they do shoot, okay, so that's an option to look at as well. Now the Rugers in general are not limited just to the Ruger American. You can go up the scale into the medium price bracket with the Ruger 77s. Okay, once you start getting up into that price bracket, however, you do open up the opportunities for like Lithgow and also Tikka. So, you've got some really stiff competition there when you're looking at around that price bracket. So let's have a look, a couple I've got here. Now the Lithgow LA102 here, it's available in 308, 243 and 223. So honestly, out of those cartridges, if you can't find one suitable for your needs here in Australia, something is seriously wrong. Australian made, just absolutely brilliant shooter of a rifle and smooth. It's got like a European finish to it. It really is just a nice rifle in general. Around the $1,300 mark, so you're in that medium or lower end of the medium price bracket for just a rifle that in my view should be twice the price with the performance and the finishes. Now I've got here probably the Mercedes-Benz, which is right up there, the same as with Seiko rifles, and this is the Anschutz 1770. Okay, now this is in 223. They're available in 222, 204 and 223 currently. Look, these things are just absolutely beautiful. My advice is if you want to go into the higher end price bracket with rifles, you do get what you pay for. The smoothness on this action is just like silk. Very much the same like I've had, Seiko Model 85 Varmiter in 223. But, there was absolutely nothing wrong with that rifle. I sold it because I wanted to fund the Anschutz. I couldn't afford both of them. But look, at the end of the day, I'd love to have another Seiko 85 because they're just a beautiful rifle. There's nothing wrong with them. So overall, guys, this is just designed, as I say, to get you thinking about the different brands that are out there, okay? There is just so many in that high-end price bracket that are just great rifles in general. So ultimately, probably the best tip I could give you is when you're looking at a rifle in general, I don't care whether it's just a budget rifle, medium price rifle, or a high-end price rifle, get the rifle that fits and feels the best to you, okay? Because at the end of the day, it doesn't matter what I say, it doesn't matter what your friends say, it's you that has to use it and you that has to own it. So choose one that fits you the best. Okay, so let's talk about calibers, guys. Now, I'm going to go into a bit of controversy here, and we're going to talk about a few different calibers, likes and dislikes with different Centrefire calibers. Now, I would have to say that 223 is probably my favourite Centrefire caliber. The reason being is that you can just buy the ammunition in bulk, you can get it so cheap, it's so versatile as a round. Like for example, like the Anschutz here has a 1 in 9 inch twist. So if you've got like a 1 in 9 or a 1 in 8 inch twist in 223, you can stabilise right up to the heavier 75 grain projectiles, which obviously are made factory ammunition. Hornady, for example, makes a 75 grain TAP. So you can shoot that very accurately, it'll stabilise, but you can also just pick up your standard cheaper ammunition like your OSA ammunition in the 55 grain Game King, shoot like a laser those rounds, and very, very cheap, okay? So that's why I like 223. It's also very versatile when you go onto a property. As I said in the other beginner video on how to actually access a rural property, you will get a lot of farmers, guys, when you go on and you've got something bigger than a 223, they'll be hesitant, okay? If you go on there and say, oh, I've got a 270 or a 308 or something like that, they can be very hesitant. So 223 is the ideal starting Centrefire cartridge for me. If you do get, like a tighter, like a 1 in 8 inch twist, you can really get some, nice heavy barrel varmint 223s, like for example the Ticker Super Varmint. And you can get the heavier match ammunition and shoot right out. Like, I'm talking, you can shoot easily, 600, 700, 800 yards with them. I mean, there's people that shoot out to 1,000 yards with a 223. Look, personally, I would prefer a 308 for that, but there are people who do it, with those heavier match rounds. So 223 would have to be the all-time favourite. Great for the range, great for out hunting and shooting in general. Now, this is a question I get asked a lot, guys. People want to go to a 204 Ruger. This is going to cause a lot of controversy. I honestly say to those people, why? What's the point? And the reason I say it is because a 223 can do anything a 204 can do. When you look at a 204 with a 40 grain projectile, okay, factory ammunition, have a look at some of the 223 loads that are also in 40 grain, and you tell me what the difference is. I mean, at the end of the day, if you're out there and you're shooting like lighter game, which you would be with a 40 grain projectile, what is the difference? Dead is dead. I mean, they perform exactly the same. However, the 204, you're paying a lot more for the ammunition, and it's more of a specific round in the sense of you don't have the option to go right up to that, 70, 75, 80 grain ammunition, which you do with the 223 with the correct twist rate. So that's my feeling on the 204 versus the 223. However, in saying that, guys, if you're one of these people that just like something different or something unique, by all means, don't go for a 223 if you've got your heart set on a 204, and you just want that cartridge, by all means go for it. All I'm saying in this video is this is for beginners who are looking for cartridges that they can get the most value out of. Value in the sense of monetary value, value in the sense of quality out shooting at a range, and value in the sense of out hunting as well. So let's move on from 223. You've got the 22-50, which is basically, the same weight projectile as the 223, but just moving with a lot more charge. 22-50, it's a cartridge I guess I've never really warmed to myself because I found that the 223 is ample. I mean, let's face it, this Anschutz rifle, for example, I've got that sighted in at 200 yards on the dot. 200 yards is a long way when you're looking at distances on the farm. Anything up to that distance and even over that 250, 300, I've been able to take with ease, no problem at all. So next one up is the 243. Now the 243 is a great cartridge, and the reason I say that is because it's similar to the 223 but just with a lot more power, in the sense of you can start from your lower end, like 243 goes right down to like 55 grain factory ammunition, right up to 100 grain ammunition, so you can take, you know, deer, pigs, all that sort of thing. It's a great caliber for that. Keep in mind though, it will cost you more than a 223 to feed and run. That's just the nature of the beast as you start going up in the calibers. So 243 is a favourite of mine. If you're looking at a good 243, have a look at the Lithgow LA102 in 243. You know, I haven't had the opportunity to shoot one personally myself. However, you guys, I've had a handful of viewers send me in your pictures and your range reports of it, and you're absolutely stoked. So that's good enough for me from what I've seen of these in 308 to recommend them. Now, going up from 243, you know, you've got 270, which is a really great cartridge as well. If you're looking at probably the ultimate deer cartridge, I would recommend a 270. It fires flat, it hits very, very hard, and it's great in those states that have minimum caliber restrictions for hunting deer. It's very good for that. If you're looking at just something for the range guys and you want to shoot out like target distance, target distances I should say, whether that be, you know, sort of 200-300 yards, or you want to go right out to 1,000, have a look at the new kid on the block, the 6.5 Creedmoor. The ballistic coefficient of that, and what I mean by ballistic coefficient is basically its ability to buffer the wind and get out to those long ranges and still retain maximum velocity and energy. The 6.5 Creedmoor is just unreal. So have a look at that. If you're into hand loading, you know, in other words, doing your own reloads and you want to shoot long distance, I think that would probably be the ultimate cartridge for that. If you want something that's a bit cheaper but you still want to be able to shoot long range, have a look at the 308. 308's been around for many, many years. It's been time tested and it's still fantastic for that long range shooting. It's great for short range, you know, if you're going after pigs. I mean, you can use 135 grain ammunition from OSA, or you've got the 130 grain ammunition from Federal loaded with the spear projectiles. Great ammo, you know, on a budget, and it's going to take any pig you want here in Australia with the correct shot placement. Now, going up from there, guys, you've got, you know, I guess a few more not so common cartridges, but there's also very common Magnum cartridges like the 300 Winchester Magnum. Let's remember too, the 30-06 is in between 308 and 300 Win Mag. I sort of look at it and I personally haven't seen the point. I prefer to have a 308 or a 300 if I wanted that extra push. But look, there's a few different calibers there you can think about, but what you need to do is just look at what your use is. So if your use is going to be, you know, predominantly going after pigs, you know, you want a cartridge that is going to do the job, but you want it on a budget too. You don't want to be paying, you know, $5 a shot, do you? You want to go out there and, you know, get it down to like $1 a shot if you can, or under. So that's where you've got to consider the cartridge. Do your homework before you look at different cartridges and just work out the price, because at the end of the day, excuse me, when you're going out to the range and just having a shoot, it becomes a bit of a burden. Instead of sending $1 a shot down range with you know, each pull of that trigger, you're sending down $4 or $5, or even, you know, $2.50, $3. You know, you've got to weigh that up. All right, guys, enough about that. So let's go on to scope selection now. So I really like lightweight scopes on hunting rifles. For example, I've got the Trijicon AccuPoint. This is a 3 to 9 by 40. I've got 3 of these now. I've had the third one come in recently, and I just love them because you've got that illuminated reticle. You don't need to add batteries, and it's just super lightweight, ultra clear optic. What more can you want? Looking at about now with the Aussie dollar being a bit weaker, about that $1,300 mark, so they're not cheap, okay? Not like they were when we were on parity. You were looking around the $1,000 mark. Really good scope though. It's not limiting to this brand, however, guys. All I'm saying is look at a scope that's going to be nice and lightweight if you're going to be using your Centrefire rifle for walking around chasing game. Because just the same as a rimfire rifle, if you buy a heavy rifle, you know, you buy a heavy scope, it's going to weigh you down, okay? Just keep that in mind. However, if you're out at the range, then that's going to suit you, obviously, having that heavier setup in general. On the on the end shoots here, I've got the Schmidt Bender 1.5 to 6x42. Exactly the same optic that I've got on the end shoots 1710 in 22. Honestly, 1.5 to 6 power on a hunting rifle does everything I need. Okay, 6 power there is ample to shoot at 200 yards on game. You will easily pick up the game. You don't have that narrow field of view as if you were on like 16 power or 20 power or something like that. It's just a perfect compact setup. So I don't recommend high-powered optics on hunting rifles where you're going to be walking around in the field, shooting off the shoulder. Complete different story if you're lying prone or you're at a range shooting long range. Obviously you're going to be looking at a higher power scope. So if you are doing that, guys, there's various high-end brands out there. You've got Swarovski, Carl's, Schmidt Bender. Look, there's so many different varieties there. Which one do you choose? Honestly, I don't really like scopes made in the Philippines or China. Look, I know there'll be guys who will say, hey, I've had this or this scope and it's never let me down. Hey, me too. I've had a couple of Nikon scopes now that are like $230. They haven't let me down. You know, but just for me personally, when I'm putting a decent scope on a hunting rifle that I'm going to rely on out in the field, I want to put some quality on there. So Japan is my benchmark, okay, from where a scope is made. I don't like scopes made in China and the Philippines in general. All right, guys, so I hope that's given you a little bit of information and, you know, got you thinking about what you need to look at when buying a Centrefire rifle. So I hope it's helped you out. So we'll leave the review at that, guys. I've waffled on for long enough. Hope you enjoy it. So till next time, we'll catch you then.